I started freelance graphic design when I was under 13. I got a copy of Adobe CS1 when I was 9. Not long after that, in high school, I jumped into newspaper. And while I'm doing newspaper at school, I'm also doing freelance graphic design for terrible music projects for myself, as well as other bands and getting into the music scene. And though I loved a lot about the music scene, my god, were they the worst clients. I was always recommended that I should niche down into something specific. And what I kept coming back to, because I was good at it and I liked it, was branding. Let's talk about branding. I love branding. There's a couple problems with branding as my niche. Budget is all over the place. If you're working with somebody that's project is so small that when you ask about a budget, they don't have a budget, any amount of money is like offensive and is a big ask. They were either too small to be able to pay what would actually be a fair wage for myself, or they would be so big that they'd want to nickel and dime it, or like that I couldn't breach into the right market that was big enough that didn't care about how much I costed, all of that. The worst part about working in branding for me was no repeat customers. Everyone was referral based, and you do a branding project, you do your logo, you do your brand kit, you talk about messaging, you give them all this stuff, and then they do it. And in God willing, they don't come back and need a new rebrand anytime soon. Sometimes you'll get repeat customers that want supplemental stuff, but it just didn't go great. I initially was trying to niche into music just because I liked the scene. Bands didn't have any money. So over and over, I keep picking niches that don't really have the ability to pay a wage for me. All the while, I get involved in nonprofits in a full-time capacity because nonprofits also don't have money, and started doing agency work. Yay, finally started getting paid a reasonable wage. I loved a lot about working with agencies. I love collaboration. I love working with other creatives, but it just really wasn't for me. I came to a point in the last couple of years after doing this for well over a decade that I just don't enjoy it the way that I thought that I would. I've had work trauma and issues with really difficult clients that made it a bad experience for me that kind of bled over into my anxiety and my stress and probably real trauma when it came to taking on new projects and clients. So I've still been working in design for years while also being the full-time parent. But I've been working as a consultant and I bill my time. Recently, I had one of those bigger clients dry up and their contract ended, and then the other contract chose to not continue with me for reasons outside of myself. And that sucked. All of a sudden, I went from having pretty steady income, pretty good income, to not. All the while, I've been building up my experience in the TTRPG space. This is what I want to do. I'm not saying I want to do YouTube. I want to be a podcaster, maybe, but I'm passionate about the games. I'm passionate about art. I'm passionate about storytelling and making something cool. I would love to be able to do this full time. And so I'm thinking about that all the while this stuff with work's going south, and then it's gone all at once rather than gradually and then hoping to jump ship once I get all of my stuff up and running, maybe start to get some income going. But the contract dries up and I'm done. So I effectively lost my job, my steady income gone. I decided in that moment I could do a couple things. I could start looking for another job. I could start looking at getting into another agency. And all of that sounded horrible. I'm throwing myself into this. I want to be a writer. I want to be a game designer. I want to be a person who works on games with other people and collaborates. And if you're interested in working with me, I want to talk to you. I'm doing a couple projects right now. I just wrapped up a one-page RPG with a friend of mine named Zach. We did a really fun game all about pirates who have died at sea, telling their stories of how their ship sank, and it's incredible. I'll link it below in the description. Getting to collaborate on his project and getting to wrap up a lot of the design work on Battle School, and then now jumping into Pink Security, DJ's project that he kickstarted back at ZQuest. Jumping into layout for that has been a blast. That's what I want to do. So if you're doing an RPG project and you need somebody that's working in the art side, the layout side, reach out. I'd love to help you out. I've been talking to a lot of contacts that I made at Gen Con that really are proving to be quite fruitful. But financially, things still have a while before they start clicking into gear. I'm not here asking for your money. If you want to support me, you can through picking up a copy of Battle School. You can throw a little tip in there too. But that's not why I'm here. Why I'm here is I'm telling you, I'm throwing myself into this. I want to be able to do this full time for a long time. A year ago, none of this existed for me. I was coming off of Gen Con, having seen a bunch of indie creators for the first time and realizing that this was possible. And I'm going to make it work. I am so excited to make this my full time gig. I will see you next time and pick up a copy of Battle School or something.